Okay, today we're going to talk about Peter Gollwitzer and his work with the psychology of action. So Peter Gollwitzer is a psychologist who works out of NYU, and he's done a lot of research into what helps people actually get things done and take action. And what he found is that people often confuse their goals with their plans. And having a goal, he found, is very different from having a plan. And a lot of times people don't realize that there's a difference. And they think that as long as you have a goal, that's all you have to do. And what he found is that if you don't take the next step and actually make a plan of how you're going to get that goal done, then your chances are you're not going to get that goal accomplished. And he actually found that people who are really motivated and have a goal are much less likely to get that goal done than people who aren't very motivated, but they have a plan to get the goal done. So having a plan outperforms just having a goal almost every time. So Peter Gollwitzer's term for having a concrete plan is called an implementation intention. And so the definition of an implementation intention is that it supports a goal intention by setting out in advance when, where, and how we will achieve this goal. There are a couple different types of implementation intentions. The first type of implementation intention is called a conditional implementation intention. And this uses an if-then format. So if X happens, then I will do Y. And Y is usually that concrete plan that we were talking about. So if I say to myself, I'll feel more like doing this tomorrow, then that's going to trigger me working on my goal and working on that for at least 10 minutes. So in other words, we're using that metacognitive error that people make as a trigger to help us start working on our project. So this second example of an implementation intention combines the if-then statement with a concrete plan of what, when, where, and how. So in this example, this instance, the implementation intention is when the kids are in bed, I will turn off my phone, go to my desk, and work on my project. So we're answering the what, when, and where, and how questions, and we're combining that with a conditional. So if the kids are in bed, I'm going to work on my project. There are a couple of reasons why we use conditionals. Peter Gollwitzer found that when you use these conditional statements, it actually transfers control of your action from yourself to the environment. And when this happens, it leads to automaticity, where action is quick, efficient, and it doesn't require conscious intent or conscious thought. You just do it when that thing in the environment triggers that condition. Gollwitzer and his colleagues have done several studies that show the power of having an implementation intention. So in the first study, what he did was he had about 90 students in his class, and half the students in the class were given help in coming up with implementation intentions for accomplishing a goal, and the other half of the students weren't given any help with an implementation intention. They were just assigned a task. The task was a paper, and when they looked at the results of how many students completed the paper, 62% of the students completed it if they had an implementation intention, whereas only 22% of the students completed it if they didn't have an implementation intention. So by having that implementation intention, they almost tripled the rate of their getting done the paper. In the second study that Gollwitzer did, he also had about 90 people in his class, and in this study, half the people got help with coming up with an implementation intention, the other half didn't. The difference in this study is that when the students were given help with coming up with an implementation intention, they also were asked to come up with a self-imposed deadline. The paper was to be written over Christmas break, and when they were helping the students come up with the implementation intention, they also said, if you could pick your own deadline, what would your deadline be? And they recorded the students' self-imposed deadline. At the end of the study, they looked at the results, and they found that 71% of the people who had the plans, they were able to get the paper done. And out of that 71%, 83% of the group got it done on the day that they specified, so they met their own self-imposed deadline. The group who didn't get any help with implementation intentions, only 32% of them finished the paper. So again, this shows the power of having an implementation intention. And also, it shows that when you have an implementation intention, you're able to meet your own self-imposed deadlines much easier.